That's the number one thing that will determine how successful an owner-operator is. The broker said I was too young and I couldn't work with them yet. And she was able to get me paid really good coming out of Utah. It was above $350, so it was going to do more than pay for fuel. So I'll tell you exactly how I do it. It's kind of like sales. Like if you've ever been in a sales position or run any business. So I was editing a video. This is the same. I've been hauling the same freight. This is the third load in a row, and I was editing a video that I'd made on the last one, and I wasn't planning on making the video, but I got really angry, and I was talking about when I was thinking about trucks like load boards, Truckstop load board. And I realized it was because I was coming out, I was about to make delivery, and just the thought of me having to get on the load board and go through that experience again, it really pissed me off. And I didn't end up booking a load off of the load board. Or I did, so I deadheaded all the way back to Kansas after that one. From Phoenix. I deadheaded all the way back to Kansas. And I took the long route. It's a long story, but I ended up booking. My plan was to book a load out of Texas, West Texas. Or my plan is always to book a load wherever I'm at. But, I had a load alert set up for that covered Arizona and New Mexico. But I had another one for West Texas and Oklahoma. I ended up finding a load from New Mexico. It was a part of a crane. They wanted it moved to Oklahoma, and it was like I was just trying to pay for cover my fuel costs. I wasn't trying to make great money or anything. But this load actually would have made a few bucks. It was an oversized crane load that it was I think $4 or so, or close to $4. I think it was a little under $4, but it was above $350, so it was going to do more than pay for fuel. And the broker said I was too young and I couldn't work with them yet. And I said, well, if you're willing to work with references or anything like that, or I told her the equipment I had, they needed my trailer because it was a little tall. They had this posted in the description. They said they needed a low profile step deck, so I kind of used that a little bit. And she said she was going to go back and check with her manager. This was a bigger broker. This wasn't somebody where they could just make a decision. They had to check. But anyways, a few minutes later, I had a highway link, and it was right when that was going on, Verizon's network just completely failed. I don't know if it was everyone on Verizon, but I couldn't make any phone calls. I couldn't send text. For a while, I didn't have any data either. And then my data came back, but I still couldn't make phone calls or send text. And then my data went out again. It was back and forth. But for the whole day, it seemed like it probably happened. So I was right near the Arizona New Mexico border, like I was in that area, because it was near Tucumcari, or it was between Tucumcari and Albuquerque, where the part of the crane was. But anyways, I couldn't contact them, and I couldn't use Highway. I was the first person to tell Highway their little security text thing wasn't going out, because I got stopped somewhere and I was trying to do everything because I had data at that point for a little while, and I was trying to do everything, and it would get to the point where they send you a text message to authenticate your login. it wouldn't send me a text. And normally, when it does that, I always have to delete. Like I'll have to ask it to resend it. But this time that didn't work, and I tried it like 5 or 10 times. I tried it a lot, and so I sent an email to Highway. I said I'm not getting any of these security codes, and they sent me a link to just wipe out all my history and like start a fresh login. And I did that, and I tried it. Still didn't work. I emailed them. I emailed Highway back, and they said, "We appreciate the heads up. The phone network they used to send out those things wasn't working because of Verizon's outage." So I just ended up deadheading all the way into like Midland, Odessa. I don't think I made it. I think I ended up in Pecos, but truck ran fine. And then the next morning I had it shut off all night because the temperature was cool enough where I didn't need to run the truck, and it wasn't too cold. But the next morning the truck wouldn't start. My ECM problem happened to come back, and I was parked right behind the Love's shop, so I was pretty excited to try to, like, it had just been on in the cat shop, and they tried everything possible. They said they tried everything they could to get it to fail, and they couldn't figure out how it failed, or it lost power. It's either shorted out and lost, or it lost a connection somehow. And every time I've got it, I've always been able to just fix it on the side of the road or wherever I'm stopped, just by moving the bundle of wires around on the backside of the battery box. And they're all in a bunch of conduit and in bundles, so it's not like I knew exactly what wire it was that was affecting it. So I was hopeful that with it failing at the Loves, we could just, they could test it and see like which wire is it exactly. Well, they didn't. They weren't really doing anything that I hadn't already done myself. So, but we did do. So the difference was we had the key in the on position to where it would normally make that. It would go through its little initial check, and it'd make that sound. So we were listening for that. We thought we could figure it out, but it ended up being the ignition. So this is the only time this has happened, is the ignition circuit breaker. I don't know if if these semi trucks have circuit breakers, but my truck has several circuit breakers and it's also got, I've never had an issue until my marker light started messing up, but it's got self-resetting fuses. They call them like max fuses, but they trip and they reset themselves. And then it's got circuit breakers. So this was an ignition circuit breaker that had tripped. So no matter what we were doing, we weren't gonna fix the problem and then hear the tone come on by messing with, a certain wire. But we ended up, we saw that circuit breaker was tripped. We pushed it back in, fired right back up like normal. But unfortunately, that meant we weren't able to determine what wire it was. But yeah, so I've been on these. I just ended up, after that, I just ended up deadheading all the way back up to Kansas for the next one of these. And I've been a lot happier not working off that load board. I think that's the number one thing that will determine how successful an owner-operator is. Are you working off the load board, or are you not working off the load board? I did the same thing at Landstar. And you hear it from everybody says it. They say, when you sign up, they say you got to develop relationships. That's true. relationships is probably the most important thing for experienced owner-operators or new owner-operators. But at Landstar, I had probably 20 or 30 different agents I would call, and that would keep me off. I had one agent, in the worse area you're in, the more important it is to have good relationships in that area. Like, one of my favorite agents at Landstar, she was out there in Utah, so that helped me get good freight going, because you can get paid good going into Utah because it's not a great freight market, and she was able to get me paid really good coming out of Utah. So I really hope to be able to work with her again. And I'd do the same thing. I had other agents. I'd build a haul good paying freight into Arizona, and then I'd always pull, not always, but a lot of times I would pull aviation stuff out of here, jet engines and stuff like that, out of the air yard down there in between Phoenix and Tucson, Marana. I don't know the name of it or how it's pronounced, but they got an airfield down there. So, but they all tell you that, and they don't tell you, everybody says you got to develop relationships, but they don't tell you how. And it's, you're talking to truck drivers. Truck drivers are, just weird socially. Not everybody, but loners. There's a Landstar right next to us. Going to fill a gas tank up. I guess he's got like one of those generators on his catwalk. Yeah, so I'll tell you, instead of just saying I think you should, it's good to develop relationships, I'll tell you exactly how I do it. And it's not like, it's not some magic formula. It's real simple. All you do is you just ask questions. After you haul a load, if you liked the load, you ask if you're at Landstar, it would be an agent, or in any other company, it would, whoever you're booking your freight with. If you have your own authority, then it's the broker. You just ask them, how often do you move these, or when do you need the next one moved, or is this a regular? Do you have a contract on these? Do you move these on a regular basis? It's as simple as that. Really. I've got a whole list of these loads. I've got these loads all the way out. Now when you're watching this video, it takes me a month or so to put these videos out, but so it's the end of January right now. So it'll probably be the end of February. I don't know. Maybe I'll get it out earlier. Maybe it'll be later. I have no idea. But I've got a whole list of these all the way out through mid-February. So I just make a phone call, say, hey, this one here, is it, you got it covered, or do you need it? Are you still looking for a truck? And these are, you obviously don't do that if it's a 75 cent a mile load, but these are paying more than 75 cents. So that's why I've done 3 of them in a row. So I deadheaded out on the first one because I was going home for Christmas. The second one, I wasn't planning on deadheading back, but just because of Verizon and then the ECM stuff, and I was already in Texas, and then I just ended up heading back after that. And this one I'll probably end up having to use the load board because I'm going home. I got a new entrance safety audit to do, and I talked to a ECM specialist, a CAT ECM specialist, not at the CAT shop, but I talked to him, and I think he's one of those guys that can, like, he'll reprogram your ECM and tune it up and add, you know, a lot of these engines, if they sell like a 400 horse, a 425, a 450, a 475, 500, whatever, you know, they don't have a separate assembly line putting together a separate engine. Although that's ECM tuning, or I mean, a lot of it is. I don't know if I would get him to turn the knobs up on this or not. Mine's set at just whatever Holt Cat has it at, 550 horse. And I outpull, I don't know if I've gotten any footage of, you know, pulling. I've recorded pulling San Augustine Pass, but I don't think there's been other trucks on it. But when I'm in Arizona and New Mexico in the hills on like the Interstate 10 and 40, I get passed up by trucks, but I'm also out pulling reefers and dry vans that I'm assuming are probably legal weight, and I'm 5,000 pounds overweight. So the horsepower does make a difference. And it aggravates me when I have to, you know, I would rather just be in that right lane and just do my own thing, but having to make the determination of do we have the speed to get around them and traffic and all that kind of stuff. But I've gotten around several of them. But yeah, if you're hauling freight especially in an area that you like, or well, anywhere, if it's an area you don't like, I mean, if it's a bad freight market, always try to follow up and ask for more freight afterwards, you know. Or even sometimes I don't even wait till I've delivered the load. I'll ask before when I'm booking the load, I'll just tell them, hey, I'm in this area a lot, or do you have freight coming out of this area? I mean, do you have a lot of freight here? Is this a regular customer for you? Whatever. But that's it. I mean, and that, if you don't do those like simple little, it's kind of like sales. Like if you've ever been in a sales position or run any business, it's the same thing. You're just following up. It's much easier to keep a customer than to win over a new customer. So repeat business, that's going to be your lowest, you know. It's easier, it's quicker, it costs you less time, it costs you less money. I mean, if I could get rid of Truckstop load board forever, I would, but I can't do it yet. But I've run for quite a while without booking a load off there, and the one time, obviously, I wanted to book a load off of there, but it didn't, you know, Verizon got in the way of that one. I got a load alert set up on Truckstop, so I'll be looking for freight out of here to get me back to Texas for that safety audit. Well, the safety audit and the ECM specialist, and then my tires that got replaced, those are, you know, they didn't just develop a bad wear pattern for no reason. So I'll probably put it in an alignment shop and just get them to look through everything, the leaf spring bushings, all the different steering components. I got them to test my kingpins. They said my kingpins are perfect. They said there's no play in the kingpins at all. I was really surprised. I mean, the kingpins in here, they're over $500,000. I think they're between 600,000 and 700,000. But we'll do that, and then the ECM work will get done, and all the different U-joints along the drive line, and just everything. And maybe we'll get lucky. Yeah. So, of course, the marker lights are working again. But I need to shut up. I've been talking too long. But like, subscribe, comment, and y'all stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next video. Y'all take care.